Hey, welcome back to theclinicaltrialsguru.com, the internet's best place for all things clinical trials, clinical trial information. We try to demystify clinical trials on a daily basis. Today, I'm going to make a video response because a lot of people, a lot of hopeful study participants or people who want to join studies, they're getting frustrated because they want to join a study but they can't get in, or they're not getting in. They're not being accepted into the study. And let me tell you the reason why. So just because you have a certain medical condition, or maybe you don't, maybe you're a healthy volunteer that wants to do a phase 1 healthy volunteer study, whatever the case may be, you getting into a study actually requires more than just wanting to get in. You have to qualify. So everyone has to qualify to get into their particular clinical trial. So if I have asthma or if I have hypertension, that does not guarantee that I'm going to get into a clinical trial for asthma or for hypertension. Every single study has what's called an inclusion and exclusion criteria. And what these things mean is there's certain things that you would need to have in order to join the study. You may need to take a certain medication at a specific dose. These are inclusion criteria. You may need to be between a certain weight range, a certain age range. Some studies only accept males, some studies only accept females. Some studies even only accept specific ethnicities. So it really depends on what your particular protocol is that you're trying to get into. Of course, as a study participant, you're not going to know that. You're just calling the clinic up asking about studies. So I wouldn't give up. And there's also called exclusion criteria. So these are things that would exclude you from joining a study. Let's say the study is only seeking volunteers who have a BMI of 35 or less. If you have a BMI of 36, you're excluded. So that's another reason why you may not get into a study. There's inclusion criteria, which you would have to meet, and there's exclusion criteria, which you will have to meet as well. I mean, you can't have any of the exclusion criteria to get in. So it's very important when you call a clinic. Let's say I'm calling for asthma. I call a clinic who has some asthma studies, and they tell me no, I can't get in based on my inclusion-exclusion criteria. That doesn't mean that I can't qualify for any other asthma study. It just means I need to keep trying. I need to call other clinics because maybe they're doing other studies, and maybe those studies I can get in. So you really do have to do your homework, and you can't just give up after calling one clinic because you don't know how big that clinic is. You don't know how many studies they actually have. Maybe they're only recruiting for one study, and that study happens to be very selective as far as who they accept into their studies. So if that's the case, that doesn't mean that you won't qualify for any other asthma study. It just means that that clinic that you called doesn't have an asthma study for you. So pick up the phone and call another clinic and keep calling until you find one that does have a study for you. And usually the bigger research clinics will have a bigger selection of studies because they're larger clinics, they're able to handle more studies. So you really need to do your homework, call the research clinics in your area for the studies that you want to do, and find out, how many studies do they have going on? Can I get into any of them for this particular indication? If not, ask them, do you know of any other clinics that are doing other studies? Oftentimes, South Coast Clinical Trials, the place that I work at, we're relatively small, so we don't have that many studies going on at any given time. And so people have asked me, do you know any other clinics that may have a study for me? And I often refer them to clinics in the area. So ask them, and I understand if they may not want to tell you because they may not want to refer to their competitors, but then you've got to do the homework on your own. Go to clinicaltrials.gov, go to Google, go to our website, send me an email, send Don an email. We'll help you find a study. There's many ways to find studies, and you shouldn't get discouraged if you happen to not get into one study at a particular clinic. You need to keep trying. Hopefully this helps. Let me know what your thoughts are on this, and if that helps you at all. Just keep trying. Don't give up. Dan at theclinicaltrialsguru.com, and actually the website address is theclinicaltrialsguru.com. And if you want to contact me, go to our bios page and you'll see the email address and the Twitter and Facebook and all that. That way you can interact with myself and Don. Hopefully this helps. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.